Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suavelous day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you double.
Hey there, greetings. This is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. So happy to see another day I ain't never seen before, another day to get it right, and another day to repent, another day to tell the people I love, I care for, and I respect. I love you. And I love you guys. So excited, extremely tired, man. I've been on this road for a very long time. I'm talking about everywhere, all over Georgia. Now I'm in the Carolinas. Right now in Spartanburg. Did a bunch of work today. Pretty tired, but you know what? When you doing something you love, you just, it's not work. I just really love it. And today, man, I'm just being grateful, happy for my family, happy for my friends, happy for my life, man. I'm so grateful. So grateful for the opportunity to do what I do, opportunity to serve my patients, opportunity to serve my clients, opportunity to just be in a situation to bless others. And I'm just so happy. And I'm just thank God for all the opportunities He given me. So tonight we're going to be just, having a little dialogue, as I told you each and every week. How you doing, brother? Brother Wally, that's my mentor there. That cat is always on point. I appreciate you. I love you, brother. So, tonight we just, as I told you, I'm going to continue to get on this podcast each and every week, doing my thing, coming in here alone, and the more you get on there, the more you get comfortable, man. That's all I can say, because I can tell you I've always been the person who can talk much trash. I'm great on one-on-one sessions, but when I get in front of that camera on stage, sometimes I just manage to get a little anxiety. But you know what they say, it's never about perfection, but progress. And I just thank God for the opportunity. So tonight we're going to be talking about my topic, and is it ungrateful kids or poor parenting? So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see this video that went viral about a young girl saying she didn't want this Tesla. She wanted a Mercedes, and the mother was going. And so I don't know if you got a chance to see it. If you did, I wanted to hear your opinions, your thoughts. If you interested, or you're a coach, parent, single parent, mentor, counselor, whatever, listen, I would love to hear your feedback. You don't even have to be anything, just a person who would like to give feedback on what they saw in that video. And so I know that a lot of times, from what I read and what I saw a lot of people pretty much going in on a young girl, going in, talking about she's so ungrateful. These kids, they so ungrateful. They're unappreciative. They don't appreciate nothing. Well, you know what? There's a lot more to things that meets the eye. A lot of times we put more emphasis on the kids. We always saying they do this, they do that. Well, let me tell all the adults, parents, old heads, we have a tendency to forget that we was once their age. And I remember it was a video. I think it was it was a post, but nevertheless, it was like 1993. And then we're going to go back into the 80s. We're going to go back in the early 90s. And we always talking about these kids, but let's go back to Knocking the Boots. Let's go back to Luke. Let's go back to NWA. Well, guess what? All of us around the same age now. You think we set the best example, but we'll definitely play like we were so innocent. We'll play I'm so holier than thou. We act like we didn't have these behaviors or being ungrateful, hanging out all times of night, messing with that narcotic, drinking, acting, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. but we can always talk about these kids. We always got something to say about them. And we always want them to respect us. But we have a tendency not necessarily respecting them or even having dialogue with them. And then when they act out or do certain things, we want to just be so critical of them. It reminds me of I was speaking downtown. I think it was a youth gang summit. It was something, and it reminds me of it was this old lady, and she was talking about all the kids sagging. She was just putting so much emphasis on sagging. Oh, we didn't do that when we was young. We just had more respect, and we didn't do this. They just showing their butt, showing all kinds of stuff. They don't care. They don't have no respect, and just was just going in on that generation. And so I asked her how she was, and she said, "Well, it has to do with anything." And then she told me, she said, I'm not embarrassed about my age." So she told me. So I did a little calculation. So I said, so if you're this age in 1967, 68, 69, or whatever, that made you like maybe 17, 18, 19, or whatever. She said, yes. And I said, well, if I'm not mistaken, they was wearing hot pants, go-go boots, always on that smoking that reefer, showing the belly, having the collar and just showing all kinds of breasts and the see-through. It was like sequins. You could see right through it. And the hot pants showing butt cheeks, showing all kinds of thighs and showing their belly. So I was like, you don't think that was a bit extreme? Considering how your parents viewed it? And I think about our generation. We don't think NWA and Luke and all that stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. But the thing is, we always tend to forget that we was at that place one time. So I'm going to go into the topic, but it's just that sometimes we got to think about what we was doing at that age. And so a lot of people were saying about her and how she was acting this way. And so the first thought came to my mind was, I wasn't on her. I put responsibility on that mother. And and I was looking at it because you know how sometimes I see parents sit there and say, well, I don't know what this kid acting like this. They don't act like this at home. The same way they act at home is the same way they act in public. So stop lying, acting like you were such a great parent and you was doing these things the same way them kids cut up, having them temper tantrums in public. This same thing is going on right under your roof. So stop all this lying. You lie so much, the truth is just not in you. So I'm going to go into some of these things. So, they was talking, about how ungrateful she was. So when she started acting up, the first thing I saw was, here the mom going to get into a backwards and forward, trying to plead with her, trying to negotiate with her, and trying to tell her she's unappreciative. Listen, we all know, that this was a dynamic that has been established. This is something that she goes on and on. They go backwards and forward like they peers. The same thing when I tell some parents, I'm like, you going backwards and forward with your child as though they peers. When I see these enmeshed and inappropriate relationships, it's so funny, man. When I see, it's not funny, but it's just sad when you're seeing parents going backwards and forward with their children like they in a relationship. And they wonder why these children act the way they do. So, and then she was talking about this all she was giving. And so I'm just watching the interaction. And she was like, like really having a problem with the girl being ungrateful, but it wasn't her. It was that parent that created that dynamic. And so what I see is that it's just inappropriate relationships. And some people say, well, I think it was staged. No matter if it was staged or real, this is issues that we have to address, because no matter that scenario that was video that went viral was staged or real, the bottom line is this is something that constantly going on in our families, in our society today. And it's something that we need to address. So again, I think we face this stuff all the time, and I think we really need to address it. So I want to address it because I've seen it. I've had parents coming to me, blame their children in therapy. I've seen Parents always saying the truth. I don't know where they get it from. And then when you talk to both the parents that have family therapy and the children, you're like, this is something the children say, well, I don't know why you're saying it. You saying this, you didn't say this when we was home, but you saying this in front of the therapist. Yeah. So children, like, they're going to put your business out there. You're going to go ahead and just pretend that you didn't have a part in it. And this is when it comes to taking ownership. And this is what I notice about a certain group and a certain group is that sometimes certain parents don't take ownership. They're always trying to blame everybody, about everything and not taking ownership of saying, listen, it was me. And this is very sad. And so as I assessed the situation, I already saw it. It was the mother who created this dynamic, trying to tell her. And then the thing is, the lying. As I say, you lie so much, the truth is not in you. We all see this. And it's just like she's sitting there saying, I'm gonna take those keys back. And then the girl was like, here. It was so sad because the little girl said, give this to your mother. I don't think that's her first time saying it. I don't think this first time she acted that way, and the mother's constantly trying to negotiate her, not setting boundaries, not giving consequences. And trust, I know a lot of people say, well, I would have beat her, Brian. You don't have to beat her. I personally don't believe it. I've made many mistakes on beating my kids. And as I learned and start becoming a nurturing parenting facilitator, I realized that it's too much evidence to show that beating doesn't work. So we have to come up with other ways to discipline and redirect our children. And I know a lot of people say, well, hurting, beating, I turned out all right. Well, listen, you may think you have, but if I talk to you one-on-one and ask you how you felt when you got beat, how did you feel about your parent? And I don't want to give you giving me an answer from an adult perspective and say, well, I deserved it. And no, give me that, take you back to that child and how that child felt about the parent when he was beating them. A mature, a responsible answer and say, you know what, when they was beating me, I didn't like it. I was angry. I thought they was trying to hurt me. And I was very upset with them. You could have felt that you hated them at the time. So it's too much proof. And it's always wait, hold on 1 second. Brother Wally says, my own sister does this negotiation BS with my with my 10 day and 29-year-old. No way. Yes, it's a lot of negotiating. These relationships are so inappropriate. But again, as I was saying, there's too much evidence. It's so much lying in our community. It's a shame. It's just like when you see stand-up comics always saying, a black mother don't play that. We wouldn't have all these kids and incarcerated if a black mother didn't play that. We all know that doesn't work. All that beating or threatening and lying, it doesn't work. We know it. We know it doesn't work. And it reminds me of so much of the lying and the threats. And so saying what we don't do. We all know after a child gets a certain age, it goes like this. You're not going to do this. You're not going to be coming in my house all the time tonight. You're not going to get this gift, or you're not going to get these toys all and acting like this. You're not going to get them. Child still gets it. You still get a chance to hang out. You still get the clothes. You still get the shoes. You still get the video games. See, this type of parent is the one that don't take ownership. This is the type of parent who's a liar. This is the type of parent who's going to make situations worse with their lying and their threats. This is the same type of person who in these relationships who always bragging to their friends about, I'm not going to move no man in. I'm not going to take care of no man. And I'm definitely not going to pay his bills. Well, guess what? There are probably millions of guys out there who have moved in, then sold them a dream. Now they're being taken care of. And again, they lying in public, but in private, they are housing these dudes. They housing these dudes and got a million excuses, but they told the dude, I'm not doing this and doing it. And they wonder why they are constantly being treated in a disrespectful manner by men as well as their children. Because people know you're lying. They'll adjust their behaviors for the time being just to shut you up. And you feel good, like, why that? No, they're going to go right back to the same behaviors because they already know you're a creature of habit, and you're going to go back, and they're going to go back and do the things. So listen, I'm going to tell you this. You teach people how to treat you. So as much as we want to blame people, take ownership and say, I am allowing this. I have my own issues. That's what you need to say. You need to sit down, go get a coach, go get some treatment, go see a therapist, maybe go see a psychiatrist. But the reality is not them, it's you. It reminds me of Fat and Funny. And he says, okay. I'm the problem. Well, some of you guys need to say that. You're the problem. Because this dynamic is going to follow you everywhere you go. You go to work, it's going to be there. You go to your friends, is going to be there. The relationship with your children is going to be there. The relationships with your job and everything is going to be there because you go everywhere. You take you everywhere you go. And so it's so funny how people love to blame other people but don't take responsibility. So this is something that I've seen in this little girl. The little girl's acting out because she's used to it. She's spoiled and she's used to having her way. So I can imagine what we didn't see on camera. She acts any old kind of way. And the sad thing, this is one of them, again, the irresponsible parents. We are so fixated. That's why I say sometimes we just need to leave this camera, social media alone for a while and just work on ourselves, get some treatment, because it's just sad that we're constantly showing everything on social media. Everything is not meant to be on social media. Stop coming on social media, showing you in the hospital with the tools, just always attention-seeking behaviors. I done had freaking COVID. I done had multiple surgeries. Ain't nobody gonna see me on the hospital out there and doing all this video. It's none of your business. It's my private stuff, and everything is not meant to be shared. So that lady right there just shows she has multiple and layers of issues. Because when you having that dynamic with your child, you need to just cut that camera off and don't even post it. That's the crazy thing. It's just like when we're upset with our children and we want to shame them. And I tell people, I said it a while back in one of my shows. You sit there and always talking your private life for other people's entertainment. Cut it out. Because at the end of the day, you are a poor parent when you do this kind of stuff. So it says soft parents, soft children, who then transition into dysfunctional adults, pass it on to their seeds. Sad. Generational curses continue. And that is great. I appreciate that because, every time I'm talking from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. So when you're talking about social and spiritual and clinical perspectives, look at it. When we look at a social perspective, we look at insanity cycle, doing something over and over and then expecting a different result. You're not going to get it. That's insanity. Doing something over and over and expecting a different result. It's not. And then you look at from the clinical perspective, it's patterns and repetitions. It's still, doing something. So who's going to break that circle of causality? Because like the more you do this, the more I do that. The more I do that, the more you do this. Who's going to take the initiative to break that circle of causality? And then last but not least, the spiritual perspective, the generational curses. When are we going to stop doing these things so we can stop passing these things on to generation to generation? When are you going to become a generational curse breaker? I love, in fact, Kiwi sells those shirts. She says, I think it says, I'm a generational curse breaker. I love the shirts. I purchased mine. It's a great shirt. Just look on Kiwi on Facebook. Brother, I can't remember. And Brother Wally, if you're listening, just put it in and then I'll announce it. But again, and so just looking, and so people are always looking at these children, but look at us, man. Look at us. We have to start doing these things, have better communication, better parenting skills. That's why nurturing parenting is such, it was a lifesaver for me. It was a lifesaver for me. I've learned some things in the generation curse was passed on. Listen, I apologize to my son. I should, because he wasn't that type. But because it was taught down and I learned behaviors, it just was just not the right thing to do. Thank you, Brother Fred. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to read your comment. If you could put it up again, I can read it. Thank you, Fred, for showing up. And so anyway, oh yeah, most of these kids are very spoiled. But again, You can't get spoiled because it has to be a spoiler. And this person who's spoiling the kids are the adults. So again, we can't blame them because they get the clothes, they get the videos, they get everything from us. And guess what? When they don't get it from us and they coming into our homes with that, we have to address it. So we're allowing them this false sense of security that it's okay for them to do what they do, act the way they act, and behave the way they behave. You know, someone told me people do people stuff. What children do with children stuff, and parents do with parent stuff. And a responsible parent do what a responsible parent does. So we have to take those things into consideration. So I'm going to really try to hold people responsible. And it starts off with holding ourselves responsible. And as I say, transparency equals empowerment. And I know as some things as a parent I failed in, and I am. It was for me, you know, first time parenting and learning things, you know, and it still was my first time around. I thought I had great parents, and certain things. Again, when we learn these things, and they were not conducive to a healthy relationship, you have to start breaking those things, breaking those patterns of repetition, breaking those generational curses, and breaking that insanity cycle. So so we just have to be mindful what we do. Take personal inventory. Start tapping into our discernment. Start paying attention to things that trouble our spirit. Start realizing that some of the things we're doing are counterproductive to healthy, functioning, and productive relationships. You know, this is why I was writing about the 10 Commandments of intimacy. So we have to have those intimate dynamics with our children, talking to them and doing some self-inventory. So I'm going to go into some more, but right now we're going to go into station identification, and we'll be right back with social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
And we're back with social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. And today's topic is ungrateful kids or poor parenting. Oh, there you go. As we said, thank you, Brother Wally. I'm going to listen. You can go to what I was talking about, those t-shirts. generational generational breaker t-shirts, generational curse breaker, is go to etsy.com/shot kiwi beauty store. That's etsy.com/shop/kiwi beauty store. Thank you, brother Wally. Listen, go ahead and support her. I love the shirts, nice color scheme and everything. And besides, again, try to support Black businesses. Just try to support Black businesses. And when you have opportunity, you have your podcast or anything, if you know someone is doing business, try to support them. Again, sometimes so many of us get so much support from people who are not friends or families, and it's just unfortunate. And I think we can come together as friends and family and do big things. And this is why sometimes, again, it's just a cycle, a generational curse. Again, this thing happens over and over, and people get frustrated. And again, this is why they say hurt people hurt people. So back to our topic. Again, it just reminds me of just so much of how we as parents blame our children for everything. And it's just funny how we'll say, oh, these kids always doing this. And another thing about these kids, and I hear parents or adults always saying, they always having all these babies. They always so disrespectful. They all these girls, these young girls having babies. Well, sorry, they're not. They're not having these kids like this. A lot of these young ladies are not having these kids like my generation did and the previous generation. So we so used to saying things over and over, but the stuff is not true. Them old heads and my generation, I guess I'm old head, and my parents, they was having them kids as teenagers. But they say it over and over and projecting their stuff onto them. But them kids learning and learning how to do things they didn't know, just like teaching the parents. The parents always saying that they wasn't happy. They stayed in relationships and they wasn't happy. And a lot of the younger generation are doing some things opposite. So it's so important for us to be transparent and be honest with them. And then maybe we can have a better dynamic between our generation and our parents' generation and our generation and our children's generation. And sometimes we just got to work on those things, because no generation is perfect. We all learn through our mistakes, but we have to be transparent and take a self-inventory. So anyway, so when I'm looking at the girl, I don't want this car. I told you I wanted a Mercedes Benz, and the mother immediately going backwards and forward with her, and the thing is, she spent more time trying to convince the little girl that she was ungrateful, but not paying close attention to how she was as a parent and how she felt that child, because she created that monster. That's what she did. She created the monster. And I wouldn't doubt if she took that car back, got her the Mercedes, gave her that money plus some more. Just how I feel about it, because those type of parents who always like to overcompensate. And so it leads me to my next area: overcompensation. Well, guess what? Newsflash: overcompensation is never, 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 ever, ever good. We spend a lot of time trying to overcompensate. And one of the things I noticed that, and this is what I look at, a lot of single parents. Yeah, single parents. You do a great job, but a lot of times you overcompensate. And you overcompensate due to the absence of the other parent. So you sit there and say, well, because the other parent is not there, you're going to overcompensate. You're going to try to give. And you're spoiling and you're destroying their character because you're not developing character. And for those who keep that balance, kudos to you, because it's not all. So, but anything over 50% is a norm. So please don't get defensive. Just understand, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And another reason, let's say you didn't have anything growing up. You was poor. You didn't get all the things you wanted in life. You overcompensate. So what you do is try to overcompensate by getting this child any and everything they want. You're trying to overcompensate. And so, this overcompensating that you're doing is significantly impacting the entire community. Oh, hey, Chris, how you doing? It says, as a teacher, I see that a lot of kids who are influenced by their peers. Yes, I think it may sometimes be bad parenting, but some seem to be following the bad behaviors of others. Yes, I definitely agree. And say, what do you think about that? Well, I think, again, We all are influenced by things outside our parents' house. But that's the thing where you need to be actively involved. Because, see, the thing is this: when you communicate, when you parenting, and when you're involved, and when you knowing what your child does, and you explain it and creating boundaries and giving them consequences and rewards, this behavior is curbed. Because guess what? Um, when you know your parents is actively involved in your life, meaning random checkups on your school, checking your homework, doing the homework with you, getting progress reports weekly, checking up on you, knowing, I think they got parent portal, and checking on your grades and asking you how you're doing. Involvement. A lot of this is the behaviors occurred. Here's a situation. Anybody know me? Um, I will always do the random checks. The teachers, the administrators knew who I was. I never missed any school activities. Again, by no means am I a perfect parent, but the one thing I was a active parent who was active. This is not bragging when it's true. Anybody know me? I was a freaking active parent. Made sure they knew the family. Made sure I created standards. Made sure I knew what was going on. So guess what? There was not going to be a situation where my kid was going to go out there and actively get themselves in trouble and act up. That's why I always it was so, man, you got some respectable boys. So a lot of times we could sit there and say yes, but when you have active parents, this is one of the things I tell people. You know, people don't want to hear, they want to marginalize the significance of fathers, but this behavior is not consistent when a father is in the house. Everyone knows this. They just don't want to tell you because I know it's an agenda. But it's too much studies and research. So when fathers are active in children's life, less likely to commit suicide, less likely to get itself in drugs, less likely to be a high school dropout, less likely to have kids out of wedlock. This is a norm, but they don't want to address it. It's always saying, well, we putting all the blames on the mother. Sometimes, man, we just got to take ownership of what's the reality. And again, there's a pie that's 100%. When it's that 5, 10, 15%, that's an exception. But we are not at an exceptional rate. We're at the 75, 80%. So this is a direct correlation between this situation and that situation that deals with these kids and their behaviors. So again, when the children know that you are active, that behavior is going to be curbed. I remember teaching this at an at-risk school. Not teaching, I had a program out there. And I can always tell if the parent had a father in their life. And I would just do so many social experiments. An experiment would be, hey, listen, I'm going to tell your father. And they're like, man, whatever. He can't do nothing to me. Bad not, boy. I'm like, okay, I already know, which is a high indication that the lack of respect and the absence. Now watch this. I'm going to tell you, but okay, don't tell my mom. See? But guess what? It's the same situation. Mind you, I said I was an at-risk school. So these kids know how to act a certain way and know they're going to get away with it because the boundaries are constantly being crossed and there's not real consequences to the behaviors. So a lot of times we sit there and say these kids are influenced. Yes, all of us are influenced to a certain degree. But I guarantee you look at the statistics, you look at the thing, they're not going to lie, and the numbers don't lie. And please, for those who came out of that situation, we have to realize we are an exception. That's not the norm. And we got to stop being offended by certain things that we can remedy. We can correct these things, but we have to be better parents. We have to do a better job in having that dynamic. And again, when they become adults, they make their own decisions. But when they're children, they're under our household and we're responsible for them. So when they go out and do the things, that's on them, not on us. So this is some of the things we have to think about. And thank you for Chris. Thank you for that. So that was my comment on that. So again, we have to really pay attention to a lot of these behaviors, but we also got to do an inventory on ourselves. So again, on that situation, I put the blame on the parent. And now, of course, as an individual, having individual freedom, you have the right. But again, I think behaviors will be curbed when the parents are active and give consequences and create clear boundaries. Clear boundaries. And that's the thing, clear boundaries. And so when it comes to that, I just know a lot of these things don't happen. And when it's fathers, when they're being raised by them, or those parents, when they're working together as a team, a unit. Now we know when it comes to two-parent household, when one is fighting against the other, the children see that, and children have the ability to see that and manipulate the parents. So again, we have to be mindful. We're not trying to sit there and go back and forth about the exceptions. We all know what exceptions are, and I'm not going to go into explaining that as I explained so many different times. So I said what I said when it comes to that. And so one of the things that I want to be transparent on, because I know overcompensation really can destroy a child's character. And if a person will do a self-inventory, they're not going to be the best version of themselves. And then parents, like I say, a village, it takes a village. And so all the parents got to start coming together, and where one is falling off, the other one has to pick up the slack. So I'm going to be transparent. When I was a kid, anyone knows me, I was a spoiled kid, got anything and everything I wanted. My grandfather was poor growing up. He ended up doing very, very well. You already know he did very well, but he overcompensated in so many different ways. He overcompensated because I loved him with all my heart. May get a little emotional because I miss him, but he overcompensated because he didn't have anything grow up. He grew up poor. He's a hard worker, and he did everything to be a self-made person and to make himself to be a success story. But he got me everything. He spoiled me to death. And when I think about it in hindsight, I was a kid who was spoiled. And I don't think I had much character, because if I didn't have my way, I would act out. So he got me anything, if I deserved it or not. He got me everything. And one of the things I said to myself is that when I become a parent, I would never do that. Overcompensate, because it destroys the character. So I was very unappreciative, and I was so unappreciative is that, again, my grandfather was born 1918, so that tells you how old he was. And so my grandmother was born 1960, I think. And so I remember she bought me some shoes. I remember these black shoes, and they had this line on it. It was two lines. I did not like those shoes. And she bought them, and I just flat out refused to wear them. And she was saying, I need to be grateful. They didn't have anything. They was poor as well. It was about 8 or 9 of them, something like that. And they didn't have anything. And here it is. My grandfather made my grandmother have a wonderful life. She didn't have to work. My grandfather said he was a success story. He did very well. Made sure the family was taken care of. He was a king. And I refused to wear them. But that showed the character that I had, being ungrateful, being spoiled. And again, we as parents got to take a level of ownership and responsibility. When we spoiling our children, we create a monster. We create a monster. And I was a little monster, because if I didn't have a color bike I wanted, I had all this stuff, everything. I didn't get the regular stuff. I always got the top of the line. I didn't get the regular 10 speeds from the stores. I got the Swin. Anybody know about the Swin? I had the everything. My dad got me the Swin with the crushed seats, fur seats, the sponge handlebars, the pump, the white walls, everything. I had everything. That was the varsity. I had the Continental, the Burgundy and Gold. I had everything. The skateboards. I didn't get those cheap plastic one. I got the extra wide fiberglass with the white wheels. That was the one, the expensive stuff. I always got the top of line stuff. And there's a lot of times, I didn't deserve based on sometimes how I was acting. How I was acting up in school, got a paddle all the time. So this is the behavior. And when you constantly telling kids, you're not going to get this, and you still get it, it is not an incentive to do better. So parents have to really create those boundaries and create consequences. And you don't have to do it by beating. Got to learn to up your game as a parent, learn how to communicate more effectively, and learn how to create boundaries. So again, I made a commitment that I would not do it. It was times that I really wanted to do a lot of things in terms of rewards, but I knew how that would, in terms of create character issues. But I did a lot of things. But the things that I did was character building things. I would expose them to the things. I would teach them to the arts, show them about theater, ballet, all those things. I would just try to tip, and then I would have them. I didn't have to do all that cutting grass, none of that stuff. I had my sons do it because I wanted them to be independent. I had them cooking, cleaning. They could never ever leave out and go to school without making up the bed. And so those are the things, and they build character. And again, that's when they're children. That's when I'm responsible for them. I mean, they could be the sloppiest kids now, or adults, but that's not under my roof. You understand? And hopefully that they will continue those behaviors and continue the things you taught them, but it's no guarantee. It's just no guarantee. So again, but it's, as long as you are responsible with them, this is why the law says when they do something, you sit there, well, it wasn't me, but we're going to be responsible for them. So we have to be mindful of those things that we're responsible for them. And so we want to not damage our children's character. It was evident that that parent failed that child. So if we don't want to see more of this, we have to step up our game. We have to not let our children feel that they are entitled. Because I'm going to tell you, we all know what entitled people look like when they feel entitled. We all seen it. We've seen the Karens. We see the people who feel that they are the authority. You can't tell them anything, and they act out when they don't have their way. So I want to tell you something, as if I can find it. I wrote a little note to myself. Again, it was something I was, I want to tell you that before I say it, I want to say is that you teach people how to treat you. We complain about other people, how they abuse us, how they take advantage of us. We are the teachers of how people treat us. You create standard, you create boundaries, and you say what you mean and mean what you say. That will improve many dynamics in your life, in your relationships, at work, your relationship with your family, relationship with your children, relationship with your parents. So this mother obviously taught her that she can talk to any kind of way. She can disrespect her. She can be ungrateful and do anything she wants to do. But that mother taught her that. That mother taught her that. And so I believe I actually addressed this, what I was going to say earlier, about, yeah, I believe I did, because like I said, that same parent with that same mentality, they're the same ones who go around, and we see it all the time. These dudes moving them in, and they'll be around there talking to their friends. Well, I don't move in no man. I don't take care. My kids know I don't play. These guys know I don't play. I ain't moving in no man. I ain't taking care of no man. And they're the main ones. They should just shut up, don't say nothing. Because at the end of the day, we all see that you housing these people. We all see your children disrespecting you. We all see that you taking care of this dude. They not working. You taking care of them, but you're saying, and trust, we all know you buying your own ring, So again, a person is going to gas you up. They're going to shut up for the time being because they know that you're going to feel like you had some accomplishment, and you actually getting played. You're getting played by these relationships, by these guys, these girls, and your children. So please, we all know that you're taking all that bull sugar honey iced tea from everybody. So you should just be quiet. Don't say nothing. Get yourself some treatment and work on your codependency, work on your lack of boundary setting, and just be quiet, because at the end of the day, everyone sees it. That's why you constantly being taken advantage of. And then when you don't know what to say, you start to like try to negotiate. There's no negotiation for disrespect. It's none. So again, you teach people how you treat them. So don't sit there and continue to lie, because all you're doing is lying, and there is no truth in you. So again, you have to be mindful of how you're acting, how you treat people, and how you treat yourself. And that's why I always say one should have unconditional love for themselves, because life is too short and too precious for all these justification and excuses. Learn how to love yourself some you. Okay? Learn how to love yourself some you. And you can start off, you can go to www.brothersuave.com and purchase your I Love Myself Some Me t-shirts. Yes, I have for the winter, I have the skull, not the scullies, but the hoodies, the sweaters, and the regular t-shirts. I love myself some me. So go ahead and do that and learn how to love yourself, learn how to create boundaries, learn how to take personal ownership, and understand how you can change your dynamics when you do a self-inventory and you learn the significance of self-love and setting boundaries. And always remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
We're shining bright, and we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet, our neighborhood, our world. This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPNTv from viewers like you.